You're watching news at Prime. Well, let's bring you this now. A little over 6 months after she stepped down as a member of parliament, Duduzile Zuma Sambudla has now been expelled as an ordinary member of the MK party. As Zuma Sambudla was expelled alongside suspended former MK party spokesperson Tlamulo Ndlela, the party announcing the decision during a media briefing this afternoon. The MK Party's Secretary General is Sibonelo Nomvalo, who cited irreparable differences between the party and the two members. Nomvalo said the national officials have resolved that Zuma Sambudla and Ndlela acted in a manner fundamentally inconsistent with the values, discipline, and constitutional principles, including the positional interests of the MK party. Well, Mr. Nomvalo is with me in studio tonight, and he joins me for this conversation. It's good to have you back, sir. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Good evening, Goli, and good evening to the viewers at home.
The last time you were here, you made it clear that the MK party is no family spaza shop. Are today's actions a demonstration of that?
No, today's action was a demonstration of many things, not only of that, but I said, remember also when I was here that we're not willing to compromise on issues of discipline because we're building a very strong party here. And you can never build a strong party if you don't put mechanisms in place to enforce discipline. One, all members of the organization are equal. There is no member which is above other members on the basis of their proximity to any leader in the organization. Number two, when a person has violated constitutional provisions, the constitution must apply accordingly, regardless of who that person is and regardless of what they contributed to the organization, because your contribution can't be a justification for wrongdoing. When we are wrong in the organization, firstly, we must apply mitigating factors. We must sit down with you, engage you as our comrades. But if you go above that, then the organization is left with no option but to apply the constitution accordingly.
It's clear then that whatever it is that these two members have done subsequent to their suspension, the other one being removed as a member of parliament, their actions clearly were egregious. Talk to us briefly about what it is that the party simply saw as a point of no return.
Yeah, no, we did explain when we were reading out the media statement. Firstly, I think I shared with you when I was here at Goli that during my second week after my appointment as the SG, I was given an instruction by the president to remove Ms. Duduzile from everything in the party because she had many signing powers in parliament, in the IEC, in the party, and so on. And the president even said to me, I was not even aware that she has so much powers. So just do a favor for me, remove her. And that was during my second week as the SG. That is why I'm saying people who keep on saying it's me who is targeting her as a project, those people are being delusional and they are just being fallacious. They are lazy to read the environment. They are just speaking because they've got a mouth to speak. So I'm saying that's where it comes from. And he had particular reasons for that. But there are also incidents which have contributed, which have occurred recently. And we did cite some of those incidents when we were reading out the statement today. We also cited an incident of our former honorable member, the late comrade Muzi Njingila, may his soul rest in peace. We received numerous complaints from the family of Muzi Njingila about their undue influence, interference on family affairs. From when Comrade Muzi was in hospital, the family has alleged that they interfered with his transfer from one hospital to another without involving the family. That is the allegation. What I'm saying is written down, it's in writing. It's a written complaint. And the family is alleging that after they transferred him from one hospital to another, his health deteriorated when he got admitted into the second hospital. That's number one. The family further alleges that they also interfered after Comrade Muzi passed on. They went to the parliamentary village to take his belongings without their consent and without their knowledge as the family. So there are many issues. We're human beings. Some of those issues, we are not proud to announce them in the public domain because we are not losing in a course of enforcing, during the course of enforcing discipline. We're not going to lose our principle of Ubuntu. So we believe they are human beings and they've committed mistakes. And the party, the only thing that it has done is to apply its constitutional provisions accordingly.
Very quickly on this matter of Mr. Ntshingila's passing, what you are explaining now, of course, you would have said earlier in the day, is the MK party apprehensive? Are you scared that with this complaint from the family, the party could potentially be sued in any way? Because if you're saying that he was moved from one hospital and suddenly his health deteriorates when he is moved to a different hospital by the two individuals in question, the family may be tempted to take legal action. Is that something you're anticipating, or you feel that that matter has been put to bed?
No, the family reported, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, that they've already opened a criminal case against them. The family has been reporting this thing to the party because they understand that these are individuals who are acting on their own with no mandate from the party. And we've always had been having constant engagements with them during the preparation stage for the funeral and after the funeral, and we're still engaging with the family. There's nothing that we're scared of here, Koli. We are just applying our constitution accordingly. We are a responsible political organization. When there are people from outside our party who are complaining about being victims or who are on the receiving end of a misconduct by some of our members, we must act. We must apply the constitution. So we're applying the constitution. There's no fear. There's nothing.
All right. I'm desperate to move to other topics, but there's one more issue that I'd like to tackle with you relating to Ms. Zuma Sambudla. Sihle Makaye, a 44-year-old South African who essentially fell deception to a Russian recruitment scheme where he was led to believe that he would get a job either as a security guard or as a bodyguard. Now, I'm asking you this because I asked you the last time you were here as to where is that matter, at least within the party. Was Ms. Duduzile Zuma Sambudla a party to this, as some complainants had suggested? I'm merely bringing this up because clearly the party has had enough with some of the behavior, or at least conduct, of Ms. Duduzile Zuma Sambudla. Where are matters relating to that case? Because his body was returned to South Africa eventually with the intervention of the government of KZN, and he has since been laid to rest.
I'm not privy to the merits because remember when the matter occurred, I was just an ordinary member of parliament.
Yeah.
But I believe the party acted. That is why she ultimately lost her membership in parliament. But in terms of the merits, because I think charges were laid by some members of the family, from the Zuma family. So I think that is a matter that is being dealt with by the police.
Yeah.
Ultimately, if it gets enrolled, it will be heard in a court of law. So right. I'm not privy to the merits of the whole scenario.
All right. Well, just to be clear on our side, I'm merely asking it as a question. I'm not saying that there was a direct link between Mr. Sihle and his recruitment to Russia, because there have been many of these recruitment schemes. So I'm not suggesting in any way that she may have been directly involved in this particular case. Let's move on to another development today. You were part of the ad hoc committee that's investigating criminal infiltration into the South African Police Service. Today, it came up that General Dumisani Khumalo, the head of crime intelligence, would have received a phone call from IDEC, and that phone call was to say to him, present yourself before the Brooklyn police station and bring with you an overnight bag. He gets there, and suddenly things have turned around. IDEC issued a statement today saying that there is no truth to them saying that Mr. Khumalo was under arrest in any way, shape, or form. But General Mkhwanazi has had lots to say about this, and that actually this was an arrest attempt, but it was stayed because of intervention from somewhere. What do you make of all of this? I'm asking you this because you were a member of this ad hoc committee, which is now in the middle of drafting its report.
No, I can't dismiss what General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi is saying, and it's likely to happen. I'm saying that because of our observation on how IDEC has been operating. We believe that IDEC, to a certain extent, is weaponized to deal with certain individuals in SAPS. I'll make a practical example. When Advocate Johnson appeared in the ad hoc committee, before she even appeared, we requested for documents which led to the arrest of General Khumalo. Remember the legal scope of IDEC, Xoli, that they must arrest, allegations. I mean, people implicated in allegations related to the state capture and so on. State capture, the Zondo Commission. But Khumalo was arrested for employment processes, recruitment and employment, that he was part of a panel and so on and so forth. So how does that feature in the scope of the Zondo Commission, in the scope of the state capture? But guess what? Until today, that information has never been given to us. We even complained to the senior counsel in the ad hoc committee, Advocate Arenze, that we are now helpless as a party because we instructed you as our senior counsel to request for this information, because the information we got is that even the first arrest was unprocedural. And we had put it to Advocate Johnson that the arrest was not procedural. And if you want to prove us wrong, then give us documents which are proving that you arrested him lawfully. Up until today, that information has never been given to us. Our belief is that IDEC has been weaponized to serve certain factions and destroy certain factions, both at SAPS and at the IPIT.
A follow-up to that, the ad hoc committee, at the conclusion of your work, there were still members that suggested more people need to be called here.
Correct.
And one of those names is of a Major General Feroz Khan, who is now going to appear before the Madlanga Commission. But the suggestion from the chair of the Police Portfolio Committee in Parliament, whom I spoke to on this show, said it's not surprising that there were some people who were not in favor of him appearing before Parliament. I'm saying this because he's one of those now that are before court, over and above the fact that he is going to go to Madlanga. Do you remember which parties stood against Feroz Khan being brought before the
No,
ad
but
hoc?
that is in the public domain, you know.
I don't.
You,
No, I
you,
don't.
you, you, you
Please
know the
educate.
answer, but I can tell you about the position of the MK party. One, ad hoc committee was politically polluted. That's number one. As a result, it missed an opportunity to deal with many issues at length because there was a lot of political and factional orientation during the processes. Look at what is happening in Madlanga. There are arrests every day emanating from the investigation or the inquiry that is being done. They are not done as yet. No recommendations, no findings as yet. Conclusive. But there are arrests which are happening. What happened with the ad hoc? We went there and turned that thing into a political football. We turned the ad hoc committee into a political football of players who are defending and players who are attacking. And the obsession was about the politics. The obsession was never about the terms of reference. I believe that the ad hoc committee did not serve justice. It just scratched the surface. On the issue of General Khan, remember that there are members of the public who kept on giving us information about many wrongdoings which are happening and which had happened which have happened in SAPS. We were in possession of evidence that General Khan is not a clean police officer. And we called for his invitation to the ad hoc committee. But what happened? There are political parties which stood in his defense, which said, no, General Khan is not relevant for this investigation and so on and so forth. Even the chair himself, I don't understand why he's shocked, because I don't remember him standing with the MK party on this issue. We were the only party, in fact. So all parties there in the ad hoc committee were against the invitation of General Khan. You can go there and listen to the recordings. They are there in the archives. So it's not an information which transpired some years ago. It happened last year, towards the end of last year, and it's still fresh. You can get it in the archives. All parties were against except the MK party. Look at what is happening today. We are vindicated.
Thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure.
Thanks indeed.
Oh, don't give up. Don't turn away. Register now. This is your day. Change begins when we all say enough is enough. We leave